Hello again, Jason Nemro here. Hi. Um, we're still talking about raising the bar, about the Microsoft strategy. This is video number 3. We'll see if it goes to 4. There's so much to talk about on this, and I don't know if I'm just going to stop at some point. I'm almost sure. Let's talk about business priorities, because Microsoft can show you a whole lot about how to have business priorities. It's cool to say, hey, we were the first to market. Sadly, it's very expensive. The risks of failure are just mind-bogglingly high. And if you can avoid it, do, which is exactly what Microsoft did. I'd have to say that in almost every single space, Microsoft is not the innovator. They rarely innovate. It happens sometimes. But by and large, it has to do with looking around, seeing what's out there, and deciding what field you want to enter, and kind of taking it over from other people. Microsoft, it was built on DOS, disk operating system. Most of you guys have never used it because it's that old, and wasn't graphical. It was all character based, ugly. And but that's where Microsoft made its big money. That's what made Microsoft into the company that it could become. And it changed a lot after it gained the dominance of the market. It was a much smaller market at the time. And it was fed off of the fact that computers were just becoming really interesting and everybody wanted one. So everybody was buying computers, and they were buying computers that had Microsoft software on it, and of which Microsoft got a cut of all of that. That was part of the licensing. That was the some of the magical ideas that Bill and Steve Ballmer put into place. Let me talk about, and this is about being last to market. Microsoft could decide that it was going to go into a market and just dominate it almost immediately, because number one, it could make it integrate better with its operating system, which everybody ran. And it would, and once they entered, everybody else just folded. In fact, that's usually what happens. Microsoft went into business intelligence early on. It was mostly trying to point at the SME market, small and medium-sized enterprises. And so they came up with that. They actually bought it. Another thing that Microsoft introduced kind of to the universe, not that it hadn't happened before, but it hadn't happened to this level ever. Like I said, Microsoft brought everything to a new level. They would usually buy their amazing stuff. If you've ever used Microsoft Outlook, especially some of its more interesting features, it's part of a combination of Microsoft Outlook and Exchange, which is the back end. Microsoft Exchange was not a Microsoft product originally. It was originally purchased by Microsoft, and and Microsoft grew it up into the thing it was, but the original genesis of it, they bought. And they bought it from a really small outfit that was having problems competing. There was actually several competing electronic mail, groupware sort of solutions out there. Microsoft bought a smaller one that was cheap and they could grab. And they basically pulled the stunt that they pull right now, which is, I'm going to be last to market, but once I enter it, I'm going to throw money and all of the power that I have behind it. And Microsoft did. And so did Microsoft dominate? Of course, because it was tight. It could be better integrated into the operating system and work better with it. And it would give you little features that the other guys simply couldn't have. And once they broke the back of the competition, then they dominated. Now, okay, it says, okay, name for me today a competitor to Microsoft Outlook and to Microsoft Exchange, that mix. Can you name any? There's still one or two that are left, although you probably would say, I didn't know that existed. And they used to be the dominant ones. I can think of one right off the top, Lotus Notes, which started out as Lotus CC Mail. And that was something that I, once upon a time, was an administrator for. Wow. So yeah, it's really interesting when you come back and you say, wow, the stuff that I used to do is so far gone. Anyway, I won't talk about all that stuff. There's no point talking too much about history when it's not relevant anymore. Okay, yeah, this is going to be the last video. I'm not going to go any further with this. There's enough. I think we've covered almost everything here. The whole goal, especially for Microsoft, is success through A, market domination, and B, expanding the market. Now, Microsoft has had to change gears a little bit. Like I was saying, it's been a few years since PC sales, the sales of the actual desktop computers, laptops, stuff like that, the actual IBM compatible things upon which the company was built, really built its success. It existed before, and Bill Gates was doing other things before, but that really took over. That doesn't exist anymore. It's become a commodity item. Sales aren't rising. There are no new markets to crack for the personal computer. They've already gotten into all of them. So they've had to change their strategy quite a bit. And so a lot of these things in the Microsoft strategy, Microsoft doesn't do anymore, but they're still very relevant because you probably will be in businesses that may have a very different market. You're not trying to sell computers. You're not trying to sell software, perhaps, although there's a lot of software things going on. You can use these same sort of tactics. Now, personally, here's the last 2 minutes of this thing. Personally, this is why I don't like Microsoft, and I'm not really a fan of Apple, is because I don't really like their business tactics particularly. And I'm just one of those guys, which means that am I going to always be a business failure? Yes. I've never competed well in business. Let's be honest. I've been a part of many businesses. I've started a couple of businesses. Just horrendous failures. I know what it takes to win, but I'm not Machiavellian enough to do it, nor do I want to become that. So I am not a good business person that way, and probably never will be, if you want to just know the truth about that. Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, Microsoft of the day was very much, we don't care what's needed to do to win, we're going to win. It says, we can be sued all you want to, but we also know how to play the game of sued. Bill Gates' dad was a lawyer, so he kind of had an insight into how the justice system works and how to use it to your advantage. It doesn't matter if people sue you, as long as you can outlast them and you can kill them before they kill you. And so that's just an interesting thing. So I hope this was informative. I hope you learned something. There's so much more to be known about this. But let me tell you, a company that literally changed the entire world was Microsoft, for better or worse. But still, they did what it took to make it happen. Amazing. Learn from it whatever you want to. Have a great day.